Analysts at ARM expect the profit-taking momentum in the Nigerian equities market to be sustained until the release of third-quarter earnings, citing low yields in the fixed income market. Callista Chileke, investment research analyst at ARM, joins me now for a market review for this week and what to expect next week. Callista, thanks a lot for joining us on the show today. Walk us through the high points we've seen in terms of market movements this week.
Thank you very much, David. Now, for the equities markets throughout this week, we saw the week start off strong, gaining on Monday and Tuesday. But when we got to Wednesday, Thursday, and even today, we've seen a lot of profit taking, in the stock market for this week. So a lot of stocks which have rallied previously, an offshoot of the release of strong H1 2025 earnings results, we've seen investors take profits on those stocks, particularly in stocks such as WAPO, GTCO, and a lot of stocks that have rallied previously. We've seen profit taking on them.
And how much of movement has this induced in these stocks? You've talked about WAPO and the rest.
Oh yes, of course. We've seen some price depreciation in some of those stocks in sectors such as the industrial goods sector. I know for this week, what we've seen this week is that the insurance sector is the sole gainer. Of course, that's not surprising given the recapitalization news that came up, just last week, earlier this month, and we've seen buying interest in some of those stocks within that sector. But throughout this week, what we've seen is investors taking profits on stocks within the industrial goods, the consumer goods sector, as well as a result of the rallies they've had previously.
And now let's narrow down into the just released inflation data we have for the month of July as well. Now, we're seeing the numbers come through. This is the fifth consecutive month of decline here. How is the market reacting to this at this moment? Because at the end of the day, we're also looking out for that rate cut as well come September. Your take around the trends we're seeing around the inflation print and then likely easing starting from September?
Now, majorly, a lot of the inflation figures that we've seen, even the one that's come out recently, 21.88%. What we're seeing is on a year-on-year basis, we're seeing inflation trend downwards. But on a month-on-month basis, I think that's where the concern lies for the central bank. Even their last MPC meeting, the CBN governor highlighted his concerns about the upward trend that we're seeing in the month-on-month figures. But going forward into the MPC meeting, what we expect is that the CBN will take all this into account, particularly the stability that we're seeing in the exchange rate environment. What they will likely do is they might either retain their stance at 27.50%, or they could even tend towards a potential 25 basis rate cut. And I think the market is pricing that in, particularly in the fixed income space. And when yields there currently are lower, and when that happens, what we'll see typically for the equities market is that the equities market will start to gain some momentum.
And when we come back into the wider market performance we expect for the rest of this month, we have our middle market as we speak today. Now, let's talk about sectoral performance. What should we expect? Insurance, oil and gas, the banking sector. How is the mix looking like going forward?
For sectoral performances, we expect this profit taking to be sustained. But of course, we still see some rebound, later on, maybe going into September 2025. But one, yields are low in the fixed income market. That should drive some traction to the equity space. There's also the inflation figures. MPC meeting is coming in is about to for September 2025 is coming in, and then there's finally the 9-month 2025 earnings report, and that should help to boost some investor sentiment. So of course, for now, what we should see is profit taking, but that is expected. Is not a cause for alarm. All we should see is profit taking, given that we're coming from a period of strong performances for most of those stocks.
Well, Callista, we'll leave the conversation here for now. Thank you so much for your time in the show today. Well, that was Callista Chileke from ARM speaking there.